Hey everyone! Welcome back to the Uno Amalgam series. The series where those Unos really do be amalgamating though. In my efforts to combine every Uno version there is, I've stumbled across quite a few anime-themed Uno versions. I've already covered a few of these in the past, but due to the immense research done by the community, there's a few more now. The end of the combining phase of the project grows ever nearer, so be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss the full development of this game. Like always, before I begin, I gotta do some clarifying. It's clarification time. Wait, what? I don't have any major clarifications? Huh, that's a first. I don't really know what to say. Read the rules doc. Link in the description. It's very big, and likely contains answers to any smaller mechanical questions you may have. I update the doc a day or two after each episode of this series drops. Oh wait, there is one topic I've been putting off for quite a while now. I suppose it's all I have, so now's as good a time as any. One of the most common general suggestions I have received as I've been developing this project is the idea of introductory or ascending difficulty game modes for Chemicards. Basically, I select a batch of cards that I believe to be the easiest to understand or the simplest, and call them the introductory cards. And in the manual there would be something like an introductory game mode that only uses those cards and leaves out the rest. Then there would be another game mode which is the same, but it adds a few more complex cards into the set. And then there would be another which adds more, and another, and so on until your group is ready to play the full game. This is a good idea on paper, but there's a lot of little things about it that have ultimately led to my decision to not do this. What is likely the biggest limiting factor is the amount of time it would take to balance and playtest these game modes. Unlike other existing game modes, these ones would straight up exclude a chunk of the cards in the game, and determining which cards would be part of which section of the complexity scale while still maintaining balance sounds like the most time-consuming task in the world, especially considering there are over 1,000 physical cards now. Additionally, each card from one complexity would need a card of matching complexity on its flip side, which would make physical playtesting involve remaking test cards over and over and over for every playtest until it was just right. And it would also make choosing which effects are on which card faces a nightmare. I want card faces to be randomized for balance sake. There's already a bunch of game modes that are going to need playtesting in the second phase of development on top of the base game, so if there's one thing I won't need, it's more reasons for playtesting. Even if I did make this difficulty system though, I feel like it wouldn't make too much of a difference for new players. All of the basic card attributes like colors, numbers, symbols, modifiers, and even things like flip and flex sides are almost unavoidable regardless of which cards you choose to include in any given game. This means the main contributor to whether any given card is complex or not is the effect text, which will be written on the card. It's true that the effects can be as simple as 5 words. Next player draws 5 cards. And it's also true that some effects will have a brick of text, but it doesn't really change the way you play. It just changes how much reading you have to do. You're still gonna read the card no matter what. Most cards fall into a 1 to 2 sentence format for their effect descriptions as well, so encountering cards with a bit of text is something that should be expected. In the end, I don't think a difficulty system like this is the best fit for Chemicards, so I don't plan on implementing it. But don't let that stop you from house ruling them in somehow with your own copy of the game. Clarification time over. Now it's elimination time. We don't have too many of these this time around either, but every little bit of progress is good progress. This also eliminates versions that would be eliminated due to this episode's additions. This episode's non-unique eliminated Uno versions are Uno Chicago White Sox 2007, Uno Pocket Hot Wheels, Uno Express Hot Wheels, Uno Samsung Smart TV, 3-game bundle with snappy dressers, Uno Auburn University Tigers, Uno SpongeBob Schwammkopf, Uno Pokemon Sun and Moon, Uno Mr. Cartoon Stance, Dos Mini Hot Wheels promotional set. Consider these versions gone. Elimination time over. Let's start the anime marathon. Up first today we have edition 241, Uno Kiki's Delivery Service. I'm not the best at pronouncing things, so bear with me. This one has the wild Otodo Kemono card. When you play this card, choose a player. Then give that player 2 cards from your hand. Notably, this cannot remove the final card from your hand. This is eerily similar to the Great Scott card from last episode, but that card can apparently remove the last card from your hand, while this one can't. Wild Card Slap. Edition 242, Uno Haikyuu. This one has the wild Lover's Quick Attack. When you play this card, cards that make any player draw cards cannot be played on top of it. You can play this card out of turn if you wish. I can understand the original intent of this card. Block the player before you from playing a draw card against you out of turn. But due to the Amalgam's 4 discard piles, this effect's power has dropped significantly. Wild Card Slap. Edition 243, Uno My Hero Academia. This is the wild Tamura Shigaraki card. I'm assuming that's the name of this evil-looking person. When you play this card, touch another player. They must draw 5. A silly action-based card for sure, and I love it. A fun twist on the normal draw 5. Now you're going to have to be ready to dodge another player's hands at a moment's notice. What fun! Wild Card Slap. Edition 244, Uno Doraemon 2023. This is the wild Jian's Recital card. When you play this card, all players must drop their hand face up and race to cover their ears. The last player to do this draws 3. Another silly minigame action card mechanic. I don't know a thing about Doraemon, but I feel bad for Jian. Everyone is covering their ears to Jian's recital, how sad. Wild Card Slap. Edition 245, Uno Doraemon 2003. Hey, look at that, there's another one. And it's so old, Mattel hasn't quite stopped being lazy yet and added 2 unique wildcard effects to this game. It's a shame one of these effects already got added 2 episodes ago. This is the wild Anywhere Door card. Oh wait, there's no image, just pretend you see it, okay? Okay, when you play this card that you can totally see, swap seats with a player of your choice. If the player before you plays a card with effects against you and you play this card in response, you can choose a player and swap seats with them, and the player you swapped with will be affected by the cards played against you instead. It's a defense card and an offense card. How versatile. Wild Card Slap. Edition 246, Uno Hi Puffy Amiyumi. This one has the wild Rock and Swap card. When you play this card, choose 2 players to swap their entire hands. This is incredibly similar to yet another symbol I've already added, with the main difference being this effect still triggers in a 2-player game. Wild Card Slap. Edition 247, Uno Naruto Shippuden. This one has the wild Yellow Flash card. When you play this card, discard all yellow cards from your hand on top of this card without triggering effects. Wow, a wild discard color card that's exclusively yellow. At this point in the series, this isn't the most original card out there. But it's like I always say in every single episode, a card is a card. Definitely have said that before. Wild Card Slap. Edition 248, Uno One Piece 2011. Hey, did you know there are at least 5 Uno versions based on One Piece? I sure didn't. Especially back when I started this project. Poor boy had a crappy mic, no internet voice, and no clue. I already covered one of the One Piece versions, so let's cover the rest that we have found right now. Starting with the 2011 version. This one had 2 unique wilds. The first was the wild Red Hair card. When you play this card, choose a card from your hand and give that card to another player of your choice. When you do this, you must shout, "I leave this card with you." Hilarious. Love when cards make you do stupid stuff like this. Wild card slap. The second is the wild Blackbeard card. When you play this card, all other players must draw 2. As you play this card, you must shout, "This is my era." And honestly, this card is even funnier, especially in a modern context. Sorry, babe, currently in my forcing you to draw cards era. Wild card slap. Edition 249. Uno One Piece 2016. Only one mechanic from this one, and it's the Wild Law Shambles card. When you play this card, choose another player and choose a color. Then, everyone but the player you chose, including you, in the current turn order, discards all cards that match the color you chose on top of the Law Shambles card in any order, without triggering effects. This may be the single most beneficial card for players that aren't you, but it also helps you as well. It really is a "I don't like that one person in particular" card to add to the comedy. Wild card slap. Edition 250. Uno One Piece 2011. And just like that, we're back to 2 wild cards. The first is the wild Fire Fist Ace card. Whenever you play a non-wild action card, you can choose to play this card on top of it as an extra action. This duplicates the effect of the card you played it on. As you are playing this card, you must shout "Fire Fist" and then the name of the effects you're duplicating, supposedly. Powerful, and it has a funny gimmick. Very nice. Wild card slap. The second one is the wild Hancock's Love Beam. What does that even mean? Isn't anime so wacky? When you play this card, skip all players until it's your turn again. Other players can prevent their turn from being skipped by this effect by playing a 1-number card on top of the Love Beam card out of turn without triggering effects. If you don't play a 1-number card, your turn is still individually skipped. Wild card slap. Edition 251. Uno One Piece Log Spin. This is the big one. The most out there Uno spin variant there is, in my opinion. This version comes with the spinner bug that's similar in function to the original Uno spin. And once again, it can be easily replaced by a die, so no biggie there. It can be dealt with just like the original Uno spin was. The new log spin modifier is going to be placed on a set of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 number card faces for now, just like in the original Uno spin. This is subject to change though, and I'll definitely be covering this more in the second phase of development. When you play a card with the log spin modifier, you must roll the d10 to determine which effect gets triggered. The next player in the turn order then must carry out that effect. There are only 9 effects, so if you roll a 10, just reroll. Here are all of the possible effects that can be rolled. Choose a player, they must reveal their hand to you. Draw until you get a yellow card. If you have a card with a wild symbol in your hand, give it to the player who played the log spin card. Otherwise, begin asking around clockwise until someone has a wild. If nobody has a wild, nothing happens. The first player to shout "Uno Log Spin" may discard 1 card of their choice. Play resumes after them. Discard 1 red, yellow, blue, and green card. You may keep any cards you don't want to discard from this effect. Switch seats with the player of your choice. Play resumes with the player who would have been after you in the turn order before the switch. Choose a number and discard all cards of that number in your hand. You may choose to discard all of your cards without triggering effects in any order, and then draw that same amount of cards back into your hand. You are eliminated for the round. Hey, wait a minute, what was that last one? You actually have a 1 in 9 chance of getting eliminated by this mechanic? And this mechanic is going to be on, like, a bunch of cards? That's fine. That's what the life system is for. Remember Bumo? Sure you do. That's yet another bug added to the Amalgam, and what I believe to be the final one-piece Uno version that there is. Feel free to prove me wrong in the comments, though. That's really all of the major anime Uno versions I have on my list. But since I want to cover more Uno versions in this episode, let's go over some more Japanese properties and franchises. Edition 252, Uno Hello Kitty 2003. Hello Kitty had a TV show, so this totally counts. What am I talking about? This one has the wild Love Me Not card. This is a complex one, so try to stick with me. When you play this card, choose a color. Then discard an additional card from your hand of the color you chose on top of the Love Me Not card without triggering effects. Then, in the current turn order, all players must either play a card that matches that color on that stack without triggering effects, or draw a card if they can't. Wild cards count as any color in this case. Players who are able to play a card must say "Love Me" as they do so, and players who are forced to draw must say "Love Me Not" as they do so. If any player fails to say their respective phrase, they must draw too. This penalty only comes into play if a different player calls out the phrase you were supposed to say before you do so. If your second to last card is removed by this effect, you must say Uno before you say Love Me. Saying these phrases in the incorrect order will result in a draw to penalty. Players can win by discarding the last card in their hand using this effect. Wow, that's a lot of text. Can't wait to try and fit all of that onto a card. Wild Card Slap. Edition 253, Uno Hello Kitty 2006. Haha, hey look, it's another one! Did you know that I already eliminated 4 Uno Hello Kitty versions in previous episodes, and this is the second one in this video to be added? Kinda spooky how many there are, and this sentence is definitely not foreshadowing. This one has the Wild Friendship card. Gee, I sure haven't heard a card name like that before. When you play this card, all players in the current turn order, starting with you, must discard one card without triggering effects. It can be any color or number and have any symbol or modifier on it. The Friendship card can be played as the last card in your hand, and it also allows for players affected by it to play the last card in theirs. Wild Card Slap. Edition 254, Uno Hello Kitty 2012. Oh look! It's another one! Who could have seen this coming? This is the Wild Hello Kitty Bow card. When you play this card, all players must show you a red card from their hand. If they can't do this, they must draw 3. Wild Card Slap. Okay, I think that's all of them. That's not even covering the dozens of bootleg Hello Kitty Unos out there. Yup, there are none left. Why are you looking at me like that? What is what? Oh my goodness! Edition 255, Uno Hello Kitty 2011 Japan. This random Uno version from Japan, based on Hello Kitty of all things, is hands down one of the single most complex versions of Uno that is not only a non-digital version, but it also doesn't even include a bug. Where does it get its complexity from then, you ask? Let me show you. Firstly, it has 2 unique wild cards instead of just 1, meaning it has already beaten about 90% of Uno versions in existence when it comes to meaningful inclusions. Thankfully, only one of these cards is unique to the Amalgam. This is the Wild Red Ribbon card. When you play this card, discard all of your red cards without triggering effects, in any order, in a stack, and then place the Red Ribbon card on top of that stack. Wild Card Slap. Now let's get into the meat of this version. Uno Hello Kitty 2011 Japan has an alternate scoring system, but in practice it's actually just an entirely different game mode. So I'll be adding it as such. This Hello Kitty game mode messes with the point system a bit. Like in normal Uno, at the end of a round, if you win, you gain points corresponding to the value of cards remaining in your opponent's hands. Here's the twist. In this mode, if you lose, you lose points corresponding to the value of cards in your hand at the end of the round. This means in the first round, all but one player will have negative points. This goes on for 5 total rounds, and the player who has the most points at the end wins. This mode can be cut short, however. If at any point a player reaches 500 points or more, the game ends and they are declared the winner regardless of how many rounds out of 5 have passed. What more could this bugless, camless Uno version have to offer besides a unique wild and a new game mode? How about more general rules? A lot of these general rules kinda just expand upon rules from base Uno slightly, but they're still getting added. Here's the list. Typically, you can't draw a card instead of playing a card if you have a valid match during your turn, but you can still do this and pretend nothing is wrong. If the card you draw makes a match, you can play it immediately or keep it in your hand. You cannot play the card that originally matched if you're doing a sneaky draw like this, even if the card you drew isn't a match. When you're drawing cards from the draw pile because you don't have a match, other players cannot question your actions, and if they do, they must draw 2 cards immediately. If a player plays a card that isn't actually a match, and there's nothing about the card's effects that remedies this, that player can be called out, and they must take the card they incorrectly played and place it back in their hand. They must then draw 2 cards, and their current turn immediately ends. Like in normal Uno, playing a wild draw card isn't allowed if you have other valid matches, but if nobody finds out, you can totally do this. However, if someone does find out, you must draw 4 cards, and take the wild draw card you played and place it back in your hand. Only the player after the player who plays a wild draw card can challenge the legality of the play. I know I haven't talked about how challenging has changed in Chemicards yet, but much like points, it's something I'm going to have to cover in the second phase of development. Anyway, that's everything I want to add from Uno Hello Kitty 2011 Japan. Now, I'm pretty sure that is every Uno Hello Kitty version I need to worry about. Hopefully. Okay, let's see. What else is from Japan that can round out the episode? Oh, I know. Edition 256. Uno Pokemon XY. Pokemon has an anime. This totally still counts. This one has 2 unique wilds. This actually seems to be a common thing in the Japanese Uno versions, unlike my original prediction. The first Wilds effect is already in the Amalgam though. What a trend. The second card is the Wild Pikachu's Thunderbolt card. When you play this card, all players, including you, in the current turn order, must discard all non-action yellow cards from their hand in any order without triggering effects. If you don't have any yellow cards in your hand when you play this card, you can choose a different color for this effect to target instead. Wild Card Slap. Edition 257. Uno Pokemon Best Wishes. Once again, 2 new wilds. The first is the Wild Team Rocket card. When you play this card, you skip everyone until it's your turn again. Any player can counter this effect by being the first to play specifically a yellow 1 number card on top of this card. If a player successfully does this, it skips to their turn instead. Wild Card Slap. The second is the Wild Master Ball card. When you play this card, search any and all discard piles and choose 1 card from them. Take that card and place it in the next player's hand. How evil. Wild Card Slap. Anyways, what the heck is Monster Dream Company? Edition 258. Uno Monster Dream Company. This one has the Wild Strike Shot card. When you play this card, choose a color. All players must then pass all cards of that color in their hand to the player on their left. Wild Card Slap. Seriously, I don't know what this is. Google says it's a spin-off of a mobile game, and apparently it's got its own Uno version. It's that easy, apparently. Edition 259. Uno Dragon Ball Super, Japan. Oh wow, another actual anime version. This mechanic was brought to my attention as I was writing the script for this episode, so that's why it didn't appear earlier. This one has the wild Beerus and Champa card. When you play this card, choose a color. You must then give all cards of that color in your hand to the next player. Notably, if you choose a color you don't have in your hand initially, you must draw cards until you get a card of the color you chose, and then give the next player that card. It's actually funny how you can hurt your own game with this effect, but maybe there's a forbidden combo to pull off here, who knows? Wild Card Slap. There's gotta be one more, right? Oh yes, of course there is. Edition 260, Uno Speed Racer. You see, the Uno version was based off of the live-action movie, which was based on the anime. Perfect! On a side note, I really liked the live-action movie growing up. I almost had the full Hot Wheels set of cars from the movie. This version has the Wild Racer X card. When this card is played against you, you must draw cards from the draw pile until you get a number card. Cards you draw before you get a number card don't go into your hand and are instead immediately discarded on top of the Racer X card. Once a number card has been drawn, you must play a card from your hand that is the next number in sequential order on top of the number card without triggering effects. If you can't do this, draw 3 cards. Continue to draw cards in groups of 3 until you draw the correct number card that can be played, or until you are eliminated or lose a life, whichever comes first. Wow, talk about an elimination card. Very powerful. There are not many cards that have the power to eliminate a player just by existing. Wild Card Slap. That's all of the new additions made this episode. The amalgam has grown once more, and the end gets ever closer. In this episode, I eliminated 10 versions, and added another 20, bringing our total number of Uno versions represented in the amalgam to 729. Remember when 650 was the number to reach? Those were the days. Honestly, I feel like this community is totally capable of making a very accurate and mostly comprehensive wiki that actually covers all of Uno. We are really getting there. Approximately 12 physical cards were added in this episode, bringing the card count to 1,043. On top of that, there are now 8 total alternate game modes in Chemicards, which is quite a bit. Not to mention the general stuff Hello Kitty added this episode. It really is the beginning of the end, Amalgamates, because from this point on, episode themes are gone. There are no clean ways to lump enough Uno versions together for an episode anymore. The Uno versions that remain are so obscure and varied in comparison to each other. For these next few episodes, I'm going to be talking about whichever Uno versions I want. To my knowledge, there's only about 115 Uno versions left to cover, and that's including eliminations and lost or unreleased media. I hope you're ready for random nonsense next episode, and that you're mentally preparing yourself for the second phase of the project, because I can practically smell it from here. Be sure to subscribe if you're excited for the future of the project. It is once again thank you time. Thank you so much to the Amalgamation Donation Club for being abundantly generous and supporting me as well as this project. Thank you. Elias Stenbach, Zehir, Fallen Angel Viox, Gluebird, Datboy, Omicromium, Splashy Flame, Skyroll of the Stars, and Jamdrop196. And now it is once again time to end the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe for more game shenanigans. Like the video if you in fact liked the video. Go binge your favorite anime, and let the randomness begin.